Okay, cool. All right, so welcome everybody. So today I'm going to talk about homeopathics. And how to use homeopathics for summertime. So just I'm gonna um, try and give you some ideas of potential things that can come up during the summer and which homeopathics might be good for those conditions. And I actually prepared a little slideshow today. Last time I just spoke through it, and this time I thought maybe I'll give you some visuals. You don't need to memorize anything. At the very end, I have a little chart, so I can either send you the chart, or I believe I actually have the chart on my website. So you don't really need to memorize anything. It's just more for information at this point. So let me just share my screen. Okay, how's that? Everybody can see that? Yeah. Plants in the way, hold on. Okay, so yeah, so of course this information is just for educational purposes only. It's not meant to, be a substitute for medical care. It's really just information, and if you are wanting to include homeopathics into your life, then here are some examples. I'm going to show you some examples of how to use them in your day-to-day life. So homeopathy, it's kind of, I'm not a homeopath. I have practiced homeopathy for at least 20 years that I've been practicing. And homeopathy is basically an energetic medicine. So the remedies that we're going to talk about are either going to be made from like animal, plant, or mineral. And the preparation of how to make something into a homeopathic is pretty complicated. So you can actually do some research online for that. But basically, when we think of homeopathy, we're trying to, we use the line that like cures like. So we're trying to find a remedy from a plant, an animal, or what did I say? Plant, animal, or mineral that is going to match whatever symptoms we're presenting with. And so that's basically how we're going to use the homeopathy today. And how I'm going to present it is more for things that are considered acute. Acute meaning like it's not a chronic condition. So we're not treating like a chronic long-term condition. We're treating things that come up acutely. Okay. If you do have chronic conditions, then, work with someone professionally. But yeah, today is more about treating acute conditions. Okay, so is it safe? So that's the one thing I love about homeopathics is that they are safe. They are good for people, good for our pets. Doesn't matter if it's a dog, a cat, a horse, a lizard, it doesn't matter. Everybody will benefit from it. We can use it in pregnancy. We can use it if mom's breastfeeding. So there's really not a time that you wouldn't use homeopathy. And again, we're talking about acute situations. If you have chronic conditions, then you need to work with someone specifically for that. But for the most part, yes, absolutely safe. I can use it, like I said, people or pets. And the other good thing is that you can take it in conjunction with medications. So I'm not saying take them at the exact same time, but if you happen to be on medications for something and something acute comes up, then yes, you can still take homeopathy and it won't interfere with your medication. And the other thing is basically you take homeopathy for as long as it's needed, right? So if we're talking about a bug bite as an example, you might need to do 1 or 2 doses and that's it. You don't need to do more. I'll go into more detail in a bit in regards to like how many to take, how long do you take it for. But generally speaking, you take it for as long as it's needed. So generally, 1 or 2 doses if it's something acute, maybe a day, maybe 2 days if it's like an injury or something. But yeah, so you're just going to take it as, you're not going to take it long term, you're just going to take it for a short term. Let's see. Is there a specific homeopathic for pets? it will depend. So when I start going through and giving you ideas for the conditions, then yeah, specific homeopathics that you would use for people can also apply to pets. And I think you'll understand that more as I go along. Okay, so again, I'm not a homeopath. I do practice homeopathy. I've taken upgraded courses. So again, I do use it in my practice. And again, if you're working with chronic conditions, I'm not the person to work with for that. You can actually go and look for a homeopath. Let's see, serious injuries and illnesses should never be treated without seeking an expert. So what I mean by that is if you have a broken bone, yes, you can start taking homeopathics, but on your way to getting your broken bone treated, you can still be treating yourself, but it's not, again, a substitute for not getting treated. And again, use your instincts and common sense. So if you're unsure, you're not, if you are if you're in the middle of a situation where maybe you're kind of like stressed and not sure what remedies to give, but you have an idea, you can always just start with a remedy and see if anything happens. If nothing happens, you can always move to another remedy. If you use a pendulum, you can use a pendulum to kind of maybe pick and choose which remedy would be best, especially if you have 2 or 3 in mind. Or ask someone. If most of the people here have access to texting me or messaging me, so if I'm available, I'm happy to answer whoever I can. Yeah, so just use common sense. If you have a couple of remedies in mind, try one. If that doesn't help, you try the next one, and that's basically how you use it in an acute situation. Okay. Okay, so homeopathics. So generally speaking, homeopathics, let's see. Okay, so with homeopathics, they usually come in like little vials like this. I do sell a kit. I just don't have any in stock. So you can get individual ones and they all will have different names on them. And I'll go through 18 of those today. Some companies will even sell homeopathics within its product. So this is like a cream. So let's say you have an injury, a bruise, a cut, something like that. There's homeopathics within this, so you can put it topically on the skin. Then other companies will have homeopathics that are just a number of different homeopathics together. So this one is good for people who have allergies, as an example, but there's other ones, people who maybe had jet lag, or people who have motion sickness if they're in the car too long, that kind of thing. So there's lots of different options out there. And in terms of how you take care of your homeopathics, so homeopathics are very sensitive to strong scents, so smells. So generally speaking, you want to take your homeopathics, we usually say in a clean mouth, so meaning like you didn't just brush your teeth and then you're going to take your homeopathics, because most likely the homeopathic won't work. Or if you just had a cup of coffee, something that's very strong, then toothpaste is an example, gum. So if there's any like taste in your mouth, then it's best to wait to take your homeopathics. But at the same time, if you've just had an injury, you broke something and you really need to start taking something, you just start taking it. But generally speaking, you want to, even when you're storing them in your house or in your purse or wherever you're storing your homeopathics, you also want to keep them away from strong scents. So don't put it next to like Vicks Vapor Rub in a cupboard somewhere, because that might make your homeopathics not work.
So also, how long would you wait before taking a homeopathic? If you say you have a taste in your mouth, you're going to take homeopathics, how long would you wait before taking it?
I'd probably wait like 15-20 minutes. I think that's a good amount of time. Keep your remedies cool. So don't leave your remedies in the glove box of your car in the summertime. Again, that might make them less likely to work. let's see, don't handle them with your fingers. So when we're talking about homeopathic remedies, they're just teeny tiny little pellets. I can't even show you. Smaller than a Tic Tac. They're just teeny tiny little pellets, sugar pellets. And so generally speaking, what you would do is you turn the top portion, and then the pellets end up in the little cap. And so you would normally just put them directly in your mouth without putting them in your hand first and then in your mouth, because the remedy is actually sprayed on the outside of the sugar pellet. So ideally, you try and just put it directly in your mouth, and let it sit in your mouth, under your tongue, on your tongue. Doesn't really matter. You just want it to melt in your mouth. You don't want to just swallow it or anything like that. And if you're working with pets, as an example, you can just lift their jowl, and you might have to use your fingers, but lift their jowls and just kind of drop it into their mouth. If they're lying down, like sort of sleepy, that's a good time because they're already on an angle, and you can just lift the jowl and put the pellets in there. And sometimes they just spit it out, but if you put in the jowl, it takes them a few minutes to kind of like roll it out of their mouth. By this time, they've already sort of ingested some of the remedy. And the same for babies. So if you have someone who's really young, same thing, you can just put it up into the, on their gums kind of thing. And yeah, by the time they either spit it out or they probably won't swallow it, but basically it starts to melt in their mouth, and that's basically enough time for the remedy to do its work. One of the questions is, what about other supplements? Should we take homeopathic remedies from other supplements? Yeah, so generally speaking, so supplements go through a digestive process, so it takes a while for supplements to get digested. But you can take it, take your vitamin C and then take, a homeopathic remedy if you needed it, but it's better if you can separate them, even if it's like 5 minutes apart. It's better to keep them separate. Remember, homeopathy is an energetic medicine, so energetically we're putting information into the body, and once it gets into the bloodstream, that's basically how it's working. So yeah, if you can take it separately from supplements, it doesn't have to be 30 minutes. You can wait 30 minutes, but even 5-10 minutes is perfect. And yeah, so again, homeopathy is energy medicine. So try not to store it next to like televisions or like and computers even. Keeping it out of the sun, that kind of stuff. So do the best you can with it. Oops. Okay, this is a common question. So once you have your remedy, whatever it may be, right? So a lot of people will ask me, well, how many do I take? So this particular brand says take 5 pellets, and maybe another one will say take 3 pellets or 2 pellets. So it actually doesn't really matter so much how many pellets you're taking. You can take 1, but there's a chance that maybe that one particular remedy, sugar pellet doesn't have a remedy sprayed onto it. So that's generally why we say take more than take about 2 or 3. If you happen to get 4 in, totally fine. If you get 5 in, that's fine. If you only get 2, that's fine too. In terms of how the homeopathy works, it's more effective the more frequently it's given, as opposed to how many pellets, right? So let's say you've injured yourself, you fall in and you have pain, and arnica is what you would probably take for that. So you could do like a couple pellets in your mouth, and then maybe 15 or even 30 minutes later, do another, few pellets in the mouth, and that will be more effective than taking like 10 pellets all at one time. Right, so it's about how often you do it, and not so much how many you're doing at one time. And and how often you dose it, or the frequency of dosing, depends on the condition. So again, if you've fallen, or maybe a kid's fallen off his bike and they're in pain, then you might need to do it like every 15-30 minutes for maybe like an hour, and then that's enough. I remember one of our dogs, Bailey, he stepped on a bee, poor thing. And And so, yelping and everything else. So I was giving him apis, which we'll talk about today. So I was giving him that remedy every 15 minutes. And I think I only did it like maybe 2 times. And then the swelling just went down and we were done with it. But that's for like pain. That's you want to deal with it as fast as you can. Other things you don't need to do it that frequently. So when we talk about a bug bite, maybe you've had like a bite from a mosquito or a tick or something like that. We'll talk about those remedies, but you might need to do a remedy every hour, maybe for maybe 3 or 4 hours until that pain goes away. So yeah, it really just depends on how bad the situation is. And then you take it again as long as you need it. So once the pain goes away, or once the pain from the bug bite goes away, there's no need to continue it. So again, you can give them homeopathics to pets. Under the gum seems to be the easiest. If you can't get it into their mouth. So I was watching a dog that was not very appreciative of me putting pellets in his mouth. He actually bit me. But that's okay, because that was my fault. I shouldn't have just assumed that the dog was going to be okay with it. So what you can do is you can actually just put the pellets in their water bowl, unless it's like more than one pet that's in the house. Then you can just dilute it in a little bit of water and have them drink that little bit of water. So that's different ways to get it in. And that could be the same for kids too. So if you can't get it into your kid's mouth or an adult's mouth or something, for some reason, you can always dilute it in some water and then have them sip on the water. And that will work too.
Could you put it like in a dollop of peanut butter, nut butter or something as well? Or would it have to be water or clear somehow?
It's better if it's not food. So best taken away from food. So sometimes with pets, a little bit of bone broth is okay, seems to be okay. Like I've been having them like the owners try putting the pellets in just a little bit of bone broth. But coconut water would work well too. Just a little bit of coconut water. And I think that works really well. So yeah, not so much food. That's a good question. Try not to do it with food. Better with like water, coconut water, or maybe like a bone broth, something like that. Okay, so generally I have this kit, which has 18 remedies in it. It's currently back ordered. It comes from the UK actually. And these particular remedies are vegan. A lot of the other ones use lactose, which is a milk sugar. Some people that are vegan aren't really fond of that. But anyways, this is a great little kit. It's got 18 remedies in it. I'm just going to go through the individual remedies. You can go to the store and buy individual remedies. You don't need to buy this kit I'm talking about, but I'm just using this kit as sort of our template as to which remedies to talk about. Okay, so again, you don't have to memorize any of these. I'm just going to kind of go through and tell you what they are made from and how to use them, or maybe ideas of when you might need it. And again, I'm going to try and correlate it to like stuff that happens in the summertime. There's many ways to use these, but I'm trying to keep it to like just summertime stuff. Okay, so let's start with aconite. Aconite being the first one. So aconite, the main thing, if you wanted to remember short things about these, aconite is good for fear. So any kind of like panic, fear, anxiety. So again, this could be people or pets. So let's say you're, there's a lot of energies in the world today. So going out into the world, whether it be shopping or into a crowd of people, like if you're feeling fear or anxiety, aconite is something that you can take actually before you leave the house. You can take it while you're at, in the midst of like a group of people. You can take it afterwards also. So let's say you come home and you're just feeling like, you're just got a lot of anxiety because of energy that you've picked up. You can try the aconite to see if it can calm you down. Really good for pets too. So some pets that are just fearful of everything. So loud noises, fireworks in the summertime, just any kind of like fear. Or if someone goes into like, or people or pets, if they're like in like panic mode. So maybe something happened, maybe they saw something traumatic, or you know, maybe you were in a car accident or something, and then the, you know, panic sets in. So this would be a good time to try aconite. And aconite is a flower remedy, comes from a plant, I should say. So again, these remedies can be used for many things, but just remember aconite for fear, panic, anxiety, that kind of thing. But you can also use it if you feel like a cold or a flu coming on, right? So if you catch it early enough, you can try aconite to kind of stop the cold in the process. When should you use this? Any type of fear. So again, I'm trying to relate it to summertime stuff. So think of like dropping your kid off at camp and they're fearful. It's their first day. They don't know anybody, right? So there's a little bit of hesitation and fear. It might work. Maybe you have fear of going to the dentist or the doctor. Aconite would be a good remedy for that. Social anxiety. So again, being in crowds, feeling overwhelmed, fear of pain. So again, thinking dentist or fear of contracting the COVID. Yeah. So again, anytime there's fear. So if you're hanging out with someone and someone, you know, says they have COVID, and then all of a sudden you're picking up that fear, right? So so that's lowering your vibration. So you can try the aconite to kind of not get rid of the fear. It's just to, you know, to calm that, so that you're not taking on that energetic imprint of someone else's information. And again, fever, chills. So if it's a start of a cold or a flu, you can try taking aconite. For pets, same thing. If there's fear, apprehension, panic, shock, fireworks comes to mind. It's a really good one for fireworks. Some dogs like just go into like this shaking, like they can't even like process what's happening. Like, you know, it doesn't matter that you're talking to them, they can't hear you because they're just in panic, right? So yeah, so if you have a pet that's afraid of fireworks, this would be a good one to start. So if you know fireworks is, you know, a specific weekend, or it's a, you know, a specific day, you can start putting aconite in their water bowl like first thing in the morning, so that they're actually, you know, having some of that aconite in their system by the time the fireworks start. So yeah, that's aconite. So that's a good one to have on hand. Apis. Apis is made from the bee, honeybee, venom. And so remember, we're using homeopathy, like cures like. So obviously if you get stung by a bee, just like my Bailey did, then apis would be a good remedy for it, because it matches, right? So another way to think of it is anytime you have a bite or a sting, doesn't have to be from a bee, but think about what it feels like if you got stung by a bee. So you'd probably have feedback somewhere. So think about what it feels like to get stung by a bee. So there might be like redness, there might be throbbing, there might be like obviously pain, those kinds of feelings. So if it doesn't matter what, you know, what bit you, if you have any of those symptoms, the swelling, the itching, the burning, then that remedy most likely will help. So that's when you would use it. If you got stung by a bee, it could even be a mosquito. There's other ones that might help also for mosquito bites, but any kind of sting that has redness and itching and swelling, apis might be a good indicator for. Same thing with like any kind of allergic reactions. So maybe you're getting hives from something. So sometimes when I'm in the garden, I'm touching different leaves of like, especially like squash or zucchini leaves, I tend to get like hives almost on my skin. It just gets really itchy and red. And, you know, I have to take something to make that go away, that feeling go away. Allergy to bee stings. So if you have an allergy to bee stings, sure, you can definitely take it if you get stung. Unless you're asking take it preventatively, but I don't know if I would do that. I don't necessarily, because you don't know if you're going to get stung, so I wouldn't just be putting it in the system. But if you're talking like you're allergic to a bee sting, yeah, take it. You might have to do your adrenaline or the EpiPen or whatever. That's fine too. You can do both, but generally speaking, Apis would be the remedy for bee stings or anything that's burning, itching the skin. So it doesn't have to be a bee sting, doesn't have to be an insect bite. It could be like contact dermatitis from for me, it's leaves of the zucchini plant or the squash plants bothers me, and Apis works for that. There are other remedies I could use also, but Apis can be used for that sense. Oops, arnica. So arnica is probably like the most common remedy out there, good for shock and trauma. So that could mean anything. That could mean emotional shock. That could mean emotional trauma, physical trauma, pain. Most people know it for pain. So a lot of athletes will use arnica homeopathics for bruising, pain. A lot of cream. So this is the cream I mentioned earlier, that one of the ingredients in here is arnica, but you can also just get arnica cream, which is good for, again, bruising and swelling and things like that. But yeah, so arnica is a very common one, and that's if you only had to buy one remedy, I'd probably buy arnica. But arnica, so think shock, think traumas, think pain. Yeah, first choice after accidents for sure, injuries, physical problems. So accident could be anything. A kid falls off his bike, you got rear-ended, whatever, you fell, you tripped, you fell. Any kind of injury, any kind of physical kind of like pain, think arnica. It helps with swelling and bruising. And it's a classic remedy for shock. So maybe you heard really bad news and you go into shock, arnica. Maybe you were in an accident and shock sets in, then arnica. I've used it also for like emotional kind of, not even shock. Like I remember when one of my, I can't remember if it was my first or my second dog passed away. There's another remedy for grief, but that remedy didn't work as well until I added arnica, which was trauma. So for me, it was the trauma and the grief that I needed to that needed to be kind of addressed for me to feel better. So you can actually combine remedies sometimes depending on what's going on. Is it a good choice for diabetes? Oh, like arnica in general? If you were talking about something specific at the time, I wouldn't use it as a long term. So none of these are to be used like every day. These are more for like if you had like a diabetic incident. So like, I'm thinking like something to do with nerves, but that's a different remedy altogether. You could use that. Yeah, if there's neuropathy with diabetics and you have some nerve pain, then you can try a remedy for nerve pain when it comes to diabetes. That was a question in the chat. Okay, so when would you use arnica? Any kind of wound, injury, bruising, a sprain or a strain after any accident. Oh, concussions. Yeah, concussions, especially like summertime. I think kids falling off their bikes, falling off whatever. Concussions, anything to do with the head. After any kind of surgery, whether it be dental surgery or any kind of surgery. So arnica is another very popular one. Arsenicum. So arsenicum is actually a mineral. So arsenic is basically what it is. So again, we're just dealing with the energetic properties of it. We're not actually ingesting arsenic when we're taking this remedy. But we use this particular one for is food poisoning. So so think of, what are the symptoms when someone has food poisoning? Could be diarrhea, could be vomiting, could, indigestion, maybe. What other kind of, anything kind of digestive wise that includes diarrhea and or vomiting? Arsenicum album is the one I would think of. So yeah, when do we use it? So diarrhea with frequent stools, you can be watery stools, food poisoning, could also work for vomiting. Although there's another one also that you can try for vomiting. For pets, you can, I've had to use this many times for pets. Pets do funny things. They like to drink dirty water. They eat stuff off the ground that they're not supposed to eat, like, rabbit poop and God knows what, right? So it's very easy for pets. And I'm sure same thing for kids, right? Just putting things in their mouth, they pick up whatever, and then they get ill. So arsenicum would be a good one if there's diarrhea involved. Belladonna. So belladonna, think belladonna for fever. So anything that kind of like heat is rising up. So a fever is like, usually you feel it in your head, but heat rising. So we can use this obviously for fever. Headaches too. So you might, some people get headaches from being in the sun too long. You could try belladonna. Anything to do with your eyes. So inflamed eyes due to, could be something in the air, allergy, whatever it may be. You could try it for ear infections. So redness in your face, you could try it for. So like menopause as an example, this flushed kind of heat that rises, you could try belladonna. And also anger, right? Anger or rage, because that energy goes up, right? So in Chinese medicine, the liver holds the emotions of anger, and when you're really angry, like just everything blows up. So your eyes get red, your face gets red, right? So you can use it for anger too. And some people have tried it for hypertension. So again, not like an everyday remedy, but maybe something has set the person off and their blood pressure is really high and they're getting a headache. They can try belladonna to try and calm everything down. There was a question, does the customs of different countries allow us to bring along a box of remedies? So in the past, I've never had a problem bringing my homeopathics as a carry-on. You can definitely put it in your, luggage, but I've never had anybody take my remedies away on carry-on or my purse or anything like that. The only thing I would worry about is that it's going to go through an X-ray machine. So again, that's very high energies and frequencies. So not sure I wouldn't put all my remedies in my purse. I might carry like aconite because I'm afraid of flying. So I might carry that remedy with me on the plane. But generally speaking, try and put it in the luggage underneath. Bellis. So Bellis is also good for pain, but it's maybe for deeper pains. So think of like a really deep bruise. You can try it for sprains and strains, things like that. I can't think of like a summertime reason to try this other than, like a really bad bruise from a really bad fall or something like that. Bryonia. So this one is interesting. This one's used for so many different things. It's mainly known for like coughs and stuff. So it doesn't really apply necessarily to summertime stuff, more to like fall, maybe colds and flu. But what I like to use Bryonia for is pain that's better at rest. So let's say you hurt your arm or something, and your arm feels best when you're not using it, but then as soon as you start to use it, you start to feel the pain. So this would be a good remedy to use for something like that. So anytime there's like movement that's makes the pain worse. And I can see that with animals too, like so older animals with joint pain or arthritis, and getting up is, they're really stiff and you can tell they're in pain. So then I might try bryonia in their water just to kind of see if I can help them with their joint pain. But again, for summertime stuff, I'm trying to think of, unless you get a cough, of course you can use it, but I can't think of like specifically a summertime event that I would automatically think bryonia. Calendula, this is one of my favorites in terms of both a remedy and also a topical. So this is great for healing wounds, and calendula is part of the marigold family. It's excellent for healing. So a cut, I guess you could use bruising too, but generally speaking, anytime you want to soothe something, it could even be as a homeopathic, like maybe you want to soothe the gut. So someone had food poisoning and their gut was all upset now, and you want to just calm things down. Or maybe you want to calm the mind down. Anytime you want to just calm something down, calendula is really good. Mainly known for wound healing. So you can use it as a little remedy like the pellets, or you can actually buy oil, calendula oil. You can buy a calendula cream and use it topically. Definitely something worth having in the house. This could actually be really good for diaper rash. So think of anything skin wise. So going back to like having hives or something from touching a plant, like anything contact dermatitis type thing, calendula is very soothing, right? So I might take, one of those other remedies to help with the redness and the swelling. Then I might use calendula cream topically just to calm everything down. So that's how I would use calendula. Question, is it good for people, the coughing and difficulty breathing? So I think they're asking about, okay, so the question was bryonia. So can people who maybe have contracted COVID and have cough or difficulty breathing? So it definitely is something you can try. This is better for like a dry kind of cough. If it's a wet cough, you could use a different remedy, but definitely something you could try. So again, try 1, 2, at most 3 times. If no change, then it's not the right remedy. You have to look for a different remedy. But yes, you can try bryonia for cough. Cantharis, look at that. It's a Spanish beetle. So imagine being, I guess it's stung or bit, I don't know. So when the beetle stings or bites or whatever it does, it causes burning pain. So just like apis, which was the bee, we could try. So if you get stung by something, you could try apis, see if that helps. If that doesn't help, then you can try cantharis. So again, anytime you have like a burning, painful kind of sensation, you can try cantharis. Cantharis is also really good for urinary issues. So if someone has a urinary tract infection, they feel burning pain when they pee. And so you can try cantharis. It actually works really well, even for pets. So if you have a dog or a cat or something that has a UTI, maybe you're waiting to get into the vet's office, just start the cantharis. And at least that will make the pain, that will help with the pain until you can get in to see somebody. So yeah, I would use it for UTIs, any kind of burning sensation anywhere on the body. It could be from a bite, it could be from a sunburn. So this one is really good for if you know you're going to be out in the sun and maybe you're not sure if, or maybe your sunscreen isn't that great, or maybe you don't use sunscreen. and you're kind of worried about sunburns, definitely take this along with you. You can take it before you go out into the sun. You can take it while you're out in the sun. You can even take it after you come back in from the sun, especially if your skin feels a little burnt. One of the questions is, do you have a specific cream that you recommend for calendula? So calendula was this one here. If you go to any health food store, just it will actually just say calendula cream on the box. So lots of companies make it. Yes. So yes. So think cantharis, think burning, pain. So it could be urinary tract, bug bite, sunburn. Gelsemium. So this one again could be used as a flu cold remedy right at the beginning of flu and cold season. In terms of summer, I can't necessarily think of anything specific for summer other than maybe like again going out into crowds or having to speak publicly in front of people. That's generally when I would use gelsemium. Good for people who have anxiety or kind of fear of public speaking, that kind of thing. Other uses could be headaches, body aches, weakness. So that's again cold and flu, not necessarily a summertime thing, but something to keep in mind. Hypericum. Hypericum is perfect for nerves. So somebody was asking earlier about diabetes. So if there's nerve pain or neuropathy that's developed over the years because of diabetes, then you can definitely try hypericum. So any kind of like nerve pain. So could be nerve pain related to teeth, could be nerve pain because you cut your finger and there's lots of little, nerve endings at your fingers. So anytime that a nerve is involved, sciatica would be another one. So people who get sciatica, yeah, anything nerve is hypericum basically. In regards to pets, let's say they injure their nails. Sometimes they damage their dew claws or even pull out their dew claws if there's damage to their tail, anything that's like nerve related, even if you think they have some kind of like nerve impingement. Yeah, nerve impingement, you can try hypericum and see if that works. You can try arnica, see if that works. So remember, I'm going to go through this at the very end. So I know this is a lot of information. So at the very end, I have a chart that kind of like breaks it down by condition and then the remedies that you would use. But sorry, another question. What form of cream? So Rose, are you asking about the calendula cream?
Yes.
Just let me know.
What kind of form that you making? Not this one, the one for simple, the one for
Okay, Ignatia. Yeah, okay, Ignatia. Here's oh, Rose, are you talking? You're very low. No. Okay, I'm gonna keep going. So Ignatia is the one for grief. So again, not necessarily a specific summertime remedy, but Ignatia is good for any kind of grief. So whether it be maybe you've broken up with someone, or maybe you've had a fight with someone, or maybe there's been a death of someone, people or pets. Even giving something up. So people who have addictions, giving up smoking or drinking, right? So that there's a grief because you're kind of breaking up with that substance. So anytime you feel grief, shock, emotional shock, that kind of feeling, then Ignatia would be a good one for that. Ledum is good for puncture wounds. So this is one of the main ones that this is used for, is any kind of puncture. So we use it a lot in the summertime for tick bites. So if you have a dog that you find a tick on and you can pull the tick out, you just give them Ledum, and that will help with if there's pain, it will help with the pain, but also help with any inflammation caused by the puncture wound of it. And for that fact, it could be any kind of, it doesn't have to just be a tick. It could be any kind of like sting, right? So if you don't have apis and you got stung by something, you could try Ledum. So any kind of like insect bite, any kind of puncture, a splinter, even black eyes, this would be one that you could use. Let's see, for pets, yeah, puncture, foxtails, that's another one that can sometimes cause inflammation in pets, is the foxtails from, you know, if they go into tall grasses and stuff, it gets stuck in there. It could be stuck in their ears and their paws, their pads. Maybe they got bit from another animal. And of course, tick bites. Almost done, guys. Nux is good for vomiting. So it's known as good for hangovers, but generally speaking, anything that involves kind of nausea, whether it's actual vomiting or just nausea, you can try Nux vomica. And I actually tried, someone asked me for remedies for their 2-year-old that gets car sick. Motion sickness, I guess, right? So Nux is what we're going to try. If that doesn't work, I gave her some other remedies to try, but yeah, anything that involves nausea or vomiting, you can try Nux vomica. This works for pets also. So yeah, vomiting for whatever reason. Sometimes they just eat the wrong thing, or something just doesn't agree with them. Just a great remedy to have handy. A few more. Pulsatilla, good for ear infections. When I think pulsatilla, I think of like a kid who's very clingy. So like a kid who's just sick and just wants mom and just is hanging on. So it could be, doesn't have to be a kid, but any kind of like clingy kind of sensation coming from someone, could be an adult too, just feeling very needy. You can try pulsatilla. Also, you can, if it's ear related, you can try pulsatilla. You can also try belladonna. And yet another reason to use this, you can try it for hay fever or, you know, nasal discharge, things like that. So each remedy has many, many uses. I'm just trying to pick a few to hopefully give you some idea of how to use it. But again, as for a summertime remedy, I can't really think specifically a summertime reason for it, unless maybe there's, you know, like an ear infection from swimming or, you know, something like that. This one, are there any books you can recommend? Yes, that's a good question. So I actually have a few books that I can show you. So this is just one I picked up long time ago. It's like wasn't even like it's probably like a discount bookshelf or something. And it just lists a number of different homeopathics and has a picture, when to use it, why to use it, things like that. So that's just like a cheapy one you could probably find anywhere. This is my favorite. Homeopathic Remedies by Asa. I can put that in the chat at the end so you can look it up. This one's my favorite. So this kind of goes by condition. So as an example, okay, prostate, maybe not a good one. Sciatica is an example. And then it lists 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This one happens to list 7 different remedies. So you read through remedies to try and find which one matches your symptoms the best, and then you try that remedy. And if that doesn't work, you go to the next one that kind of matches your symptoms. So this one I really, really like. This is, I don't know how old this is. I've had this for a very long time. I use this a lot. And then actually this is called Holistic Dog Book. This again is a really old book. It actually, I don't even think the cover looks like this anymore. But what I like about this is that it's holistic, and it's meant for dogs, but it gives you different homeopathic remedies that you can look for or you can try with your pets. It gives herb advice, it gives acupressure advice. It's a really good book, and like I said, I don't even think the cover looks like this anymore. It's probably been revised, but it's a really good book. So I can put those in the chat at the end. But that's a good question. Okay, rust tox. This is perfect if you guys are campers. So rust tox is from the poison ivy, poison oak plant. So like cures like, so if you end up with itchy, itchy skin, blister, like skin blisters or skin eruptions, whatever you would expect from being, touching some poison ivy or poison oak, then this is the remedy. But it also is really good for sprains and strains. So if you strained something, a tendon, a ligament, rust tox can also be good for that. So yeah, what else do we have? Overstretching, general body aches, fever blisters, itching skin eruptions. For pets, we can use it for joint pain. So remember a while back, I talked about joint pain that's better at rest. That was bryonia. This is joint pain that's better when you're moving. So that's something that you might consider. Yeah, definitely stiffness, hot, painful joints. So something you can try with people or pets. Again, if you have joint pain, it might be something you can try. Ruta is similar to rust tox when it comes to like sprains and strains. So I like this one more for like tendon type injuries. But you can also take Ruta and rust tox together if you're not sure if you pulled a tendon, a ligament, bruise, something, whatever it may be. You can try Ruta and rust tox together. There's actually this remedy here by Helios, which also makes the kit of all these remedies I'm talking about. And this is Ruta, rust tox, and arnica. So this is a really good one to have on hand for, just to, you never know. Somebody falls, somebody hurt themselves, somebody twists an ankle. So another good one to have on hand. Someone's asking, the remedies are both for healing and reducing symptoms. Yes, so the remedies are healing and will definitely reduce symptoms. Okay, so Ruta, yeah, you can use it for sprains. You can use it for anything kind of tendon related, pain in long bones as if it's broken. Those are just kind of different uses of Ruta. And the last one, silicia, or sometimes it's called silica. And this is a mineral. So this one is great for pushing things out of the body that aren't supposed to be there. So great for like splinters. If you've got a splinter, like a deep splinter that you have trouble. The bird just ran into the window. Yeah, if you want splinters out, good for like boils or abscesses, anything you want to push out. So if you have an abscess, you can discharge the pus from the abscess. A long time ago, someone was in a car accident. I was working for a company and the lady was taking this, and every day she'd get like little pieces of glass that would come out of her forehead. She was in a car accident, and I guess her head hit the glass or glass hit her head, whatever it may be. And she just kept getting like these pieces of glass that kept coming out of her skin. So anyways, helps to push things out. Having said that, if you have implants, you probably don't want to do this long term. So if you've got like, dental implants, or you've got posts and pins and stuff in your body, then this is not something you want to take long term, because again, pins and posts and implants are not necessarily natural to the body. So we don't want to push those out of the body. But okay, so those are the main ones. So those are the 18 remedies that were in that particular kit. There's so many more remedies, but I thought I'd just start with those remedies. Now, this is a basic, like a summary. So I tried to think like, okay, what are some common like summer things and what remedies could you use? So let's start with like accidents. So any kind of accident, shock, trauma, arnica is sort of like the go-to. If there happens to also be nerve pain, you can do arnica and hypericum. If you get stung by something or bit by something, you can try apis, cantharis, ledum. So apis was bee, cantharis was beetle, ledum was another plant. I just can't think of it right now. And then hypericum, which is another plant, but more specific to nerves. If maybe you're out in the sun too long, you get sunstroke, or maybe a sunburn. Arnica for the pain, belladonna for the heat, bryonia. Bryonia could be for like, because you feel better when you're resting. Cantharis because of that burning pain that you would feel when you're burnt, when you're sunburnt. Let's see, diarrhea or vomiting. So let's say you had food poisoning from eating something that you shouldn't have eaten, or something that's spoiled. Arsenicum, good for vomiting, diarrhea and or vomiting. So think diarrhea first, and Nux, I think more for vomiting. Okay, what about hives, poison ivy, poison oak, rust tox, which is poison ivy, poison oak? Or you can try apis. So apis is that burning sensation. You could probably try cantharis in there too. If you get splinters, or your dogs have come in contact with foxtails that are sort of embedded in their ears or their skin, you can try silica or silicia. For sprains and strains, arnica is the pain, the main pain remedy. Rust tox, any kind of sprain or strain is good with for rust tox, especially if the pain is better with movement. Ruta is also for like tendon type pain, and bryonia if the pain is better at rest. Tick bites, we're going to use ledum, and for travel sickness, nux vomica. The cocculus and the tobacum are not in that particular kit, but you can get these at any health food store. And those are people who get travel sickness because of ear related issues. So you can try that. So those are the main of the 18 that we talked about. If I were to be putting together like a first aid kit as an example, and so I have my homeopathic remedies. These are the main ones that I would think of. Other things I would want in my kit, activated charcoal, which again, any health food store you can get. Really good for diarrhea caused by like food poisoning. So you can use your arsenicum album, you can use your nux vomica, but you can also add in that activated charcoal, because then it binds up all the gases and helps to form a better stool, less watery stool. And it's been used for a very long time to treat any kind of like poison. Calendula cream, which I talked about. So calendula is very calming, and as a cream, so you can use it on cuts, you can use it on burns. Oh, it works really well for burns. So let's say you burnt your hand on the stove or oven, calendula cream, you'd be amazed at how quickly and how how good, like how quickly you feel better from any kind of burn. But again, you can use the homeopathic remedy or you can try the cream. But the cream I find is very helpful for topically anyways. Colloidal silver, any health food store will carry it. Colloidal silver is antibacterial, antimicrobial. So if you have some kind of wound, you can even use it like in your dog's water bowls if they have some sort of infection, even if it's like an ear infection. Someone's asking about hot spots. Yes, you can use calendula oil. Actually, you can buy calendula oil and use that for hot spots. You could try the cream too, but if they lick it, you just have to make sure that the cream doesn't have anything funny in it. And you can also use the colloidal silver for hot spots on dogs. You can use the spray internally or externally. So maybe ear, you can use it for ear, you can use it for eyes, you can use it on a cut, you can use it anytime you think there's any type of like an infection that you're worried about, then you can just can actually buy it in a spray form or droppers, but I find the spray the best because you just spray it wherever you want it. Electrolyte powders, so just in case for dehydration, you want to keep some electrolyte powders on hand. And lastly, the remedy phosphorus, which is another homeopathic remedy, good for bleeding. So for some reason, if maybe you get into an accident and you have bleeding, you want to try and stop bleeding, you can take phosphorus. And again, you can take these remedies on the way to going to see, a medical professional or emergency or walk-in clinic. You can start taking these remedies beforehand. You don't have to wait until you have an actual diagnosis, because really, if the remedy is correct, you'll feel an improvement. If the remedy is not correct, you won't feel any improvement. Okay. All right, so I did a lot of talking there. So questions, comments, anybody use these remedies already? One question in the chat is how often can you spray colloidal silver in the dog water? So generally speaking, I would put like probably, if I was using spray, I'd probably do 2 sprays in the water bowl and just that's it for the day type thing. If I change the water, I will put some more silver in the water bowl, but you don't need a lot. It's very powerful. So has anybody tried any of these remedies before to see if they've helped? Can we do it all? Can we do it all the time? Okay, can you do colloidal silver all the time? So it's not something I would do ongoing because we do need some bacteria and microbes in our system. We really want to save that for when it's something's actually actively happening. So our dog, another question is, our dog has gum problems and can we use it on a daily basis? Okay, so if the dog has gum issues, you could try it for a short period of time, like maybe like 3-4 days, and see if it gets any better. You can see if it gets better. If there's no change, then it's unlikely that it's helping. So if the gum issue is because of some kind of bacteria or pathogen, then it should help. If the gum issue is because of a stomach issue, then you need to work on stomach issues. You could also try just coconut oil, rub coconut oil on the gums, virgin coconut oil. That's very calming and soothing and healing. So you can try that also for gums. Let's see another comment. Amazing for deer fly and horsefly bites. Takes away swelling and itching very quickly. Yes. So yeah, these remedies like Apis, Cantharis, Ledum, like Hypericum even, these are all great for any kind of bites. So yeah, deer fly and horsefly, that's something I can add to the presentation next time, just to Perfect. Yeah, these remedies work really well, and they work quickly, assuming you have the right remedy on hand. Sometimes you can mix them together. So, example, if the person talking about deer flies or horse flies, so you could try like one remedy, like apis as an example. If that, if you don't feel that's it, maybe it's kind of working, but you're not sure, you can actually do like apis and cantharis next time and see if like the two together work even quicker or what have you. But yeah, you'll know it's working in a very short period of time. Another comment in the chats, definitely need the kits. I want to build my medicine cabinet. It's empty right now. Yeah, so the kit is sort of like the quickest way to start, because you can go out and buy, those 18 remedies individually, and have them. But the kit is just a good place to start. You can always add on remedies, but even if you look at these kind of reasons why you would use these homeopathics, it actually does address a lot of different complaints. So yeah, I should have some in by next month. You can try looking online, but the supplier is actually out of stock. So I unless someone has them in stock right now, you might have a hard time finding the kit, but you can try looking on Amazon or wherever. Can we use the pendulum to ask which one works? Yes. So yeah, so absolutely. So you can muscle test yourself. You can use your pendulum. So if you're not sure and you have an idea of which one, you can definitely muscle test or pendulum test to see which one gives you like a stronger kind of yes, no. Or you can just individually ask, yes, no, would my body benefit from this remedy? And just go through the different remedies and see what works. Absolutely. Yeah, you can do that. Anything else? So this is what the kit actually looks like. Do they expire? That's a good question. So legally they have to put an expiration date, but it's energy medicine. So really there is no expiry. You can't expire energy. So, but legally they have to put an expiry date. So to answer your question, I would say no, they don't expire. But if you look at the packaging, though, there will be an expiry date on the packaging. Oh, here's some pictures of some of the additional stuff I was talking about. Can you put them, there's another question. Can you put them near the crystal charger, like selenite? That's a good question. Can you put your remedies near selenite or crystals to recharge them? I've never thought about that, but I can't see why not. I don't know if it would recharge them, but I definitely think it would be good energy to be around. But that's a good question. Some of the things I was talking about, so the activated charcoal, so really good for food poisoning. This is, sometimes it will actually say activated charcoal. In this case, this Digest Force, this is activated charcoal with ginger, which is also good for vomiting. So these are examples of activated charcoal. Here's an example of the calendula cream. I think somebody was asking earlier what brand of calendula cream. This is just one version of the calendula cream. And there's also calendula oil. So I think somebody was asking about it for hot spots. So I'd probably use the oil on the hot spots if it's for a pet. Although I believe this company, Unda's calendula cream, is water soluble. So if a pet does lick it off, it's safe, it's fine. But there's two options there. So anytime you want to calm the skin down, excellent for burns, hives, any kind of skin type issue. Here is down at the bottom is the colloidal silver. So I like this company. There's many other companies, but I generally like the Sovereign silver. Comes in spray form, comes in just dropper form, just depends on how you think you're going to use it. If you're going to be spraying it topically, then I find the spray easiest. If it's, you can spray it into the water bottle or water bowls, or if you're, if you need to put it somewhere like your eye, as an example, for pink eye or something, you probably would want to use drops instead of spraying your eyeball. Example of electrolytes, so minerals, just to help in case someone has sunstroke or is in the sun too long and is dehydrated. And then rescue remedy. It's basically the same formula, the rescue remedy for pets and the rescue remedy for people. The difference is the rescue remedy for pets doesn't have alcohol in it. So if you're someone that is avoiding alcohol, you can, as a person, you can take the pet version. It's totally fine. It just means there's no alcohol in it. So rescue remedy is excellent for calming anxiety. So we started out talking about aconite being good for fear, but you can also do rescue remedy. So, think fireworks, your dog's very frightened of fireworks. You can start with the aconite. You can put aconite in their water bowl. You can put the rescue remedy in their water bowl, things like that. So yeah, those are just some extras that I would add into my first aid kit. And that's it. That's all I have for you. Questions, comments? Yeah, so if anybody wants the names of those books, I can definitely type them in now while we're. So there's one, oh, sorry, Julia, I sent the message just to you, but I'm gonna send it to everyone. And I'll write this other textbook, just called Homeopathic Remedies. Hershoff. Oh, those are my two books that I generally go to. Of course, online is a good reference also, but sometimes you don't have access to online and you just want quick information. So those are my two favorite books that I just sent out through chat. Okay, so someone's asking for the kit. Yeah, so I will post, if you follow me on social media, I definitely will post when the kits come in. Most likely it will be beginning of August that I'll get the homeopathic kits in. So much info, thank you. Yes, thank you for coming today. It's always nice to share what I know with people. So hopefully you'll be able to feel comfortable starting to use homeopathics if you're new to it. And yeah, have a good summer. Great, awesome. Okay, thanks everyone. So I'll hopefully see you in some future chats.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, Rita.
You're welcome. You're welcome. It was nice seeing you.
That was excellent. Yeah. Long time no see. Oh, Sammy asked me to say hello to you.
Oh, nice. Say hello for me too.